here, listen, like I think that it's like more to do with, I think that there is a very weird element of nostalgia that I think is kind of strange, and
it's almost like a marketing strategy now.
Yeah. Oh, it is, but
Yeah.
it's also, there's like this the noted philosopher Mark Fisher. He calls it the he referenced another theorist when he called it the slow cancellation of the future.
Yeah.
Which is happening because people have an intrinsic psychic understanding, and I don't mean any like horoscope shit. I mean like as in like the soul of the nation. You can kind of feel it, that like there's something very, very different in like the makeup of our society. Like people are living way longer with their family. Like money or like job certainty is completely gone, but what we have is an awful lot of credit. And again, going back to this whole idea of the economic system influencing culture, is what we have is an awful lot of credit and fluff, and we can kind of like, you know, take up our mind, you know, focusing on constructions of ideology rather than actually ideological approaches to try and change economic systems.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Like, I mean, that's why Mark Fisher like is so like, he's just like so useful to us there. He's got a book called The Ghost of My Life, and he's talking in one of the bits, and he's like talking about music, and he talks about futurists of the 1970s, like Kraftwerk or whatever. Do you know Kraftwerk are your if you go into your Spotify, there's like
people also listen to Kraftwerk.
Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, I was just being very German pronunciation.
Oh yeah, Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk. No, we stand Kraftwerk.
But he said that like in the 1970s when people were like Kraftwerk were coming out, they were the
future.
There's a lot. They were like developing like futurist noises and stuff like that, but they're pointing to something and somewhere and challenging a position that we are which they were in, like as in like we need to like branch out, do stuff that's new. But what is really, really weird is that like there's more time between Kraftwerk and the present day than from when Kraftwerk actually started producing music and like Glenn Miller's big band, which I found like I think that's like the most bloody weirdest thing I've ever heard of. Like if you think of like Glenn Miller's In the Mood music and Kraftwerk, and then you see like from then to now, like what has changed? We're just still producing the same shit.
It reminds me of, like pre-industrialization, if you look at history and it moves so much slower. Like trends and like stylizing things just last so much, last for like centuries. It's almost like what you'd cover in a decade 20 years ago, you'd probably cover a century in like, you know, the 1600s or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like maybe we're just getting back to the point where everything's just slowing down, because it feels like you look at the time between, you know, the 20s and the 90s and how much just changes so quickly. It just goes like the rate of change and the way communications and transport and stuff contributes to that. But like it's almost like everything's just gone again.
Culturally, but like
I disagree. I think that now we actually feel the zeitgeist is a huge sense of urgency about.
So it's going almost too quickly. It's like fads come and go.
Well,
actually, that's a good point.
I think we all think the world's going to end fairly soon. Yeah. Like especially in the past year, the climate.
Stand the world ending.
The climate
the topic
crisis.
of 2019. It's literally just come around this year, though.
Yeah,
like we weren't thinking of the climate prior.
Well, that's the thing, is everyone was talking about it prior, but obviously like Republicans.
I never felt it'd be this urgent until this year.
Yeah, because they all like denied, like poured loads of money into climate deniers and like literally ruined the world for the rest of us. But like now that we started to realize that like it's like a climate emergency, I think everything feels super urgent and super fast. Our economics have ground to a halt in terms of like what you were saying in terms of like speculating about an economic future and any changes, that has like totally ground to a halt. And now it's left us. So we've just been like stuck in this cycle of like recycling things for ages. And now we're at this point where we've had this sort of like end of history, and now we're being confronted with this sense of like absolutely no future. Like, and so obviously in like a micro scale, we feel robbed of a future because of like Dublin. The housing crisis, living in Dublin, like neoliberalism, like everything you were saying about job security, Glenn. On a micro scale, we feel robbed of the sort of future that we've always been told we could have. But now on a macro scale, we also feel like we're literally not going to have a future existing on the earth.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
I think we'll pause there for the Angelus.
As a community, we are living way beyond our means. We had to borrow in 1979 over £1,000 million.
I hear you're a racist now, father.
I don't care who we get so long as I can have a go at the Greeks. They invented gayness.
Well, all all due respect, in the most unparliamentary language, fuck you, Deputy Stagg. Fuck you.
But the major problem, you see, is that you can't get out of the violent situation by wishful thinking, and you can only get out of it by understanding how you got into it.
I don't know what a tracker mortgage is.
I am the TV licence inspector. I've called to inspect on your TV licence.
You're not a man of God! Who the fuck do you think you are? You're not a man of God! The neck are you!
How dare you? Gayborn and you. Stoppable arseholes. You arsehole.
Thank you very much.
You piece of
You
shit.
tell him to give up your loose sins.
His willy. Cut off his willy. I'll tell the priest.
Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Where did you find her?
Special edition. agus nádan go deanad go féidir le cop VHS aigen fáir sin.
Die today.
David's dead.
No, it's not.
David, my ex-husband.
What you do?
You're a dead mother's dress.
Still allowed to lad roots. Yeah, you can't give me a list for last, can you?
Get out the muggles.
Before that, let's play
Then you got this ugly loser one day. That reminds me of my ex-boyfriend, Stephen.
That was a stunning Angelus. I have to say thank you very much to everyone who participated in that Angelus. That was very beautiful.